two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Dan Slinger, and with me, as always, on this fine evening, is Trevor Scott.
Yes, I am here.
Oh, no, it's Trevor Scott's evil twin.
Oh, sorry.
Trot.
I got rid of him.
Get out of here, Skever.
Yeah, I'm here too.
Yeah, good.
I'm Trevor. No, the big bearded individual. World destroyer, yes. Darren.
Nobody will know what you mean. But we have, this is the first time we've recorded since PAX. This may be coming out, probably will be coming out before our PAX episode, but who knows?
At least one PAX episode made it out before.
One PAX episode is already out, so that's good. Recorded on the show floor. With
yes.
stirring music in the background.
All hail Paul Rudd. Exactly.
Yes, our new mascot.
Cool son.
Our new mascot, whatever.
The son's new emissary. I mean, that actually happened.
So before we jump into some regular old click pitch or whatever tonight, I did want to bring something to the table. This just sort of came out of a conversation I was having with my wife about some potential work that is going on around using VR to teach childcare workers. And my mind kind of went to some weird places around that. So I thought maybe we'd bitstorm it up and see what sort of weird and wonderful ideas we could have for that sort of topic.
Yeah, so my wife has just gone through her childcare diploma. So yes. I'm rather well versed in what is actually there in the course, what you actually kind of need to know.
Yeah.
And most of it is not about caring for children. It's about stuff around leadership. It's around stuff about like including stuff for multicultural days and how do you create experiences for kids to, inspire them and all this sort of stuff. So it'd be quite interesting to see how we go about this. Because, of course, you've got the regular sort of things and we were joking about this beforehand, about changing nappies. Like, I'm literally picturing that, you got 13 babies that all need to be changed and, there's stuff flying everywhere. And
it's kind of like Tapper. You've got them sliding down counters. And you have to catch them at the end, change the nappy very quickly and slide them back completely clean and you get judged.
And wash your hands in between each one and put new gloves on. Wash your hands
in between each one. You need to know some of the rules, like you need to wipe front to back, to avoid infections in certain places.
Yeah, especially in your eye. That's the worst.
Especially what?
Your eye. Like you want to avoid infections in your eye.
Also the washing of hands. You need the little pea shields for penis having children to protect yourself. Yeah, all sorts of things. Yeah, so I mean, we have that option of obviously it's us. We're probably not going to go too seriously with it. But if we were to do it seriously, it would be interesting to tackle some of those sorts of ideas around.
Oh, you know what the best game mode would be in this? Ethics. Like when you're having to go down the ethics of,
Renegade or
a kid is like going around biting other kids. Do you tell the parent of the kid who was bitten who bit him?
Yeah, or do you just
is that ethical? Like, is that actually?
Or do you choose the renegade option and punch a child?
That gives you an automatic fail. And
God damn it, Shepard. That's not what I meant when I clicked the renegade trigger. I was not expecting you to go that far.
You just punch a child and it does that black and white.
You died.
You die. You awake to find yourself in a childcare
facility.
Punch child. You die.
That could be, we could do just multiple choice options. We go around, it's in VR, but we run it, it's like live.
For those who don't know what we're actually talking about, there's a comedian who does a show called The Dark Room. We saw that at PAX, and that's where The World Destroyed Darren came from, and that's where this whole you die and you wake to find yourself in a...
Yeah, well worth seeing if you have the chance.
He's a whole heap of stuff on YouTube. Like,
is there? Okay.
Yeah. I literally watched it. I watched
Robotron in most places.
Yeah, Robotron in most places. 2 Bs. Not Robotron, Robotron.
Yes, that's what you heard. I was just going to say, and this is a bit of a tangent, and this is almost a metaverse thing, but are there people out there doing like VR shows in front of VR audiences? Like, that feels like that could be a thing.
I know that there was something on like big screen, like the application big screen, where people did do like VR music concerts and that sort of stuff, and they held events where they were playing like a movie to a group. And
feels like for that sort of audience work or comedy in particular, actually, like it could benefit from that. If it was going to happen, though, I guess it would have happened during the height of the pandemic and not now the sort of shows are back open. But the only other thing I had around childcare was thinking about like the spreading of germs and things.
You literally have a black light that you can turn on at any stage, and it's like, oh my god!
Just turn the black light onto the children, and they're just light
covered.
Up like a fucking gross Christmas tree.
Yep, lit up like a Christmas tree of grossness.
Christmas tree.
That's good though. Like,
it'll be interesting to see what anyone who gets that. Who actually does work on that comes up with. I assume it'll be approximately along the lines of what we've just done. There's not really anything else, surely.
Yeah. I mean, where you could take it in a funny way is, the point and click adventure that it just graphically does, like it's just quizzes and you get to choose between your options. And then it plays out. Like,
look, it will almost certainly end up just being a multiple choice quiz, but in a VR headset. Knowing the way these sorts of programs go. But no, I like that idea of seeing it play out in front of you. It's like having to choose what to do in a certain situation and then watching the chaos unfold.
You always wonder, why do they, just so that you can't just mash all the way through it. Like, all the options change up all the time, and every single time, one of the 4 options is punch a child. And if you select that, you instantly fail.
Yes, you will never be a childcare worker.
Yeah. It's actually a black mark against you, and it literally says you can continue, but you will never pass this. You try to mash your way through, like.
It shows that you're not actually ready to take on this responsibility because you couldn't even do a simple test.
This was actually this is now being reported to the police, and by the time you take off your headset, you should expect to see police literally right in front of your face.
The police will take off your headset because you will be in handcuffs.
Hey,
no.
Hey.
Well, I was thinking though again, if we're going funny with this, that yes, it's these multiple choices, and essentially at the end you have a count of how many kids you either lost or were killed. Through your negligence by making the wrong choices.
No, for taking too long in answering things, because it turns out
it's a time limit.
It turns out that you were actually supposed to be looking after these kids while you were doing this. Like,
so it's not even as a result of the answers; it's just how long you took that all your kids wanted off.
You didn't realize that little Cindy was walking around with that fork, and she put it into the power socket, and that.
Look, honestly, that's not a bad idea of teaching the multitasking that they'll have to do. You must do this test, but yes, in this VR world, in the background, there are children who you are also having to prevent from, accidents and fights and asking for things.
Wow.
And you still have to get through this fucking test. Oh.
Okay.
All right.
We are going to move
our usual...
into our usual, what's it called? Click pitch. Just standard click pitch again. I've been enjoying standard
that's what
click
it's
pitch.
set up for.
I can change it any time. Like,
I know you can, but You don't have to if we don't. Yeah.
I don't
so
have to
Click
change it to
Pitch-
random phrase. I can leave it on random word plus.
So Click Pitch is a game where we each have a random word generator in front of us, and on the clown.
On the clown. Oh my god, I'm scared of clowns. I've got calorophobia or whatever.
When the clown jumps out and honks his horn. On the count of 3, 2, 1, click, we will each get a new word.
Count 1. Ha ha
Ha
ha.
ha ha. They'll all be Sesame Street themed tonight.
2. Ha ha ha.
No, that's not the case. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe that will happen. But we're gonna take those words. We're gonna read them out loud, and we're gonna make a game design out of it. Okay, now the spiel is done. Let's go.
3, 2, 1. Liquor.
Sock.
Fuel.
Sock fuel. Okay. What sort of socks need fuel?
What?
Like jet powered socks of some sort?
I'm actually kind of seeing that this is a sock puppet road trip adventure. Like,
Ooh.
sock puppets going on a road trip.
But they have to like feed the humans whose hands are inside them.
Because they don't need any fuel, but
No, they're just socks. But
no,
yeah, there's people jammed in the back.
They need to fuel their transport vehicles, and their transport vehicles just happen to be humans.
Right.
But in this world, the only sentient life forms are sock puppets.
Yes. Essentially humans are animal like
they're
non-sentient.
parasites. They're parasites.
Yeah, sort of. I think they're kind of like cattle in a way.
Yeah.
But once a sock is put onto their hand, life is sparked into
Into both.
or at least. Well, yeah. I'm just thinking. Is this does a sock does a sock bond with that human for life?
I think so. Yeah.
Can they? Okay. They're just now experimenting with sock human transplants, but they haven't had a successful one yet, as far as we know.
You see a really gruesome thing where a sock gets taken off and there's like all the skin of the hand is
It's like
came with it.
It's like being degloved.
Yeah, pretty much. But the human's been
Literally.
degloved.
Yeah.
The sock's like, oh yeah, kind of killed my human. And
does the sock not die?
I think the sock it can't speak properly anymore because
of course, yes.
the bonds
It can just like look around and mumble a bit.
Yeah.
So it just sounds like cloth rubbing, slowly along the ground.
Okay.
Okay, work all right. I like the worlds we've set up here.
Yeah. So it's these
Do the humans walk around or are they on like all threes? Because one's the sock. But are they to put them sort of down low, or is it just humans walking around?
I think they walk around, but if you remember the human being from Community, how it was wearing like that grey,
the bodysuit sort of thing.
So effectively, humans don't have any there's just
but that's just their skin.
Yeah, that's just their skin, but there's like a mouth, and it's
Why are we still calling these things humans?
Because they're human beings, according
they're
to
humanoid.
Humanoid. Yeah. They're somewhat blind. They're somewhat they just need fuel. You can. So
the socks essentially controlling does the human essentially become the limbs then of the sock?
Pretty much.
Can the sock puppet then use the other arm
to pick shit up?
Stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right. So, I then think that this is a heartwarming tale of maybe a father and his son going off on this road trip together, trying to bond.
How do socks? Do socks take on the gender or the sexual characteristics of the human?
No.
Okay.
No. So I think
the socks just have some sort of gender expression that they choose.
Yes.
Okay. Or choose not to.
And choose or not. Yeah. And I know, I reckon this could be a really poignant story, but with the nightmare fuel
but
in the
on
background.
Their genitals. Well, I think that'll be a funny juxtaposition, obviously, of we play it straight. It's this heartwarming story. We don't go into all this, except for where it is relevant, we don't go into how this world works. It's just this is the world.
And I think that the human bodies are, if you actually look at their faces, it's just this big slit kind of, and their head kind of just, can really open up really, really far back, like on a hinge, because it's so otherworldly that it's like
just to make it
just
weird.
Ignore it.
Where does and I know I keep sort of focusing on the mechanics of this, because when a human, like in our world, puts a sock on their hand, they speak with their mouth. They may or may not try doing it without moving their lips as ventriloquism, but is that the same? Are the voices coming from the humans?
The voice always sounds like it's coming from the sock.
Okay.
The spatial audio in the VR version basically says that the sound is coming from that sock. Okay, so maybe somehow the sock, as it bonds, develops vocal cords of some sort. Yeah.
Okay. And then, so to reproduce,
cotton factory,
are they just like
factory produced
socks? Then like just sewing new socks and then just putting them on, like it's kind of like lassoing a horse or something. You
lasso a free roaming human and put the sock on. And then you
shove a sock on its hand, and now there's a new being in the world.
Yeah, pretty much.
Takes maybe a week of like
bonding. Yep,
bonding time,
and it's literal bonding.
Yes. Yeah, it's for the sock fibers, the cotton fibers to
really
bury themselves,
really embed into it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So on to this heartwarming father-son story.
Not the nightmare fuel that's in the background.
No, we don't mention that. Just feels like a Jacob Janerka game.
Kind of does.
Has that vibe. So
there's this crab in a dungeon.
No crabs. What's the relationship here between this? Like, are they estranged in some way, or like is this a sort of the young boys
is about to head off to college, and this is like the one last road trip for the ages to go to.
Well, I think it makes sense to kind of lean into the tropes of the actual story, given the complete madness that is going on in the world itself. So that makes sense.
What I would like is every now and again, like you hear news reports about like another sock was murdered and found detached from a human, blah, blah, blah. And just you're hearing all these sort of dark things going on that sound kind of normal until you realize that no, you learn more about the world. And I kind of like the idea of, the father and son having a conversation of, well, I know you're going to college and there's a time for experimenting and all this sort of stuff. You've just got to be very careful that, you use protection when your humanoid touches another humanoid, and like you got to be very careful. And you can go into a little bit more about the specifics because you're doing the birds and the bees sort of talk from a point of view of this weird and wacky world.
Do you like the idea that it's around like, if you get your humanoids too close? I mean, firstly, it does create an interesting thing with sex and gender, because I mean, I guess really it could be a very interesting comment on transness and the ability and the complete separation of sex and gender, because
you are who you feel like.
You're just the sock. You are whatever you express as a sock. But when it does come to sex, there is the biology of it. And it's like, okay, well, if you're human, if one human has ovaries and the other human has testicles, then, you need to be careful about pregnancy.
You really don't want to go
breaking
there.
It down to that level. Yeah.
We don't need more humans in the world. We've got the factories for that.
Yeah, we've got farms. We've got farms for that. There are plenty of humans out in the fields.
We don't need new ones. Really don't.
I love the idea also that, like, because you know how we, like, whatever it is, like 60% of corn production or something goes to feeding, corn feed or whatever to cattle and stuff. I like the idea that that's still the case, but it's creating, like, all the sugars and, the fucking tortillas for tacos or something, like it's creating human food that the socks don't need to eat. But like so much of the production is just for the farms, the human farms.
And also, the many truck stops along the way. Like,
well, that's it. Yeah.
I would just love for it all to be like Mexican food of tortillas and all this sort of stuff. Like it's all corn based.
Well, the thing is
popcorn.
That the socks can't smell. They don't have noses. So yeah, it's all Mexican food. It's all beans and corn all the time. Only the humans know. The humans walk around. They wonder why the humans walk around wrinkling their noses up all the time. They think it's just
they don't
a
have
weird,
noses. They're just a big
expression
slit
thing.
Like they've had all that removed. Okay. Like there's no eyes or anything.
They've
like
been genetically engineered to that point.
Yeah,
perhaps.
It's kind of like they're really got no autonomy. Like it's just they just need fuel.
No. It would have been yes, I know. But I was thinking it was a lizard brain sort of reaction to the smells. But
yeah.
So
you know what is. Like, if you actually pay attention to the background story, you find out that there's actually a rogue group of humans that actually, aren't this genetically engineered.
They're actual humans out there.
They're actual humans, and they're the ones who are basically murdering these sock puppets. And these sock puppets may turn out to be aliens. Like, they came to Earth, they attach themselves and...
I probably don't even need to go into it. No. I like it better if we don't explain it.
Yeah, because whatever's in your brain...
Even having the humans out there might be too much. I feel like it works even better if it's just this sock world. Although I was thinking, are there socks out there who are trying to
free themselves of humans?
Yeah, or they feel bad, like they're like vegetarian, like they feel bad for the humans. They think that they're in
they're on corn
pain
husks.
They're on what?
Corn husks. They're just out in the field.
Well, they've found
scarecrows.
They're scarecrow. They can't actually move. Or they're on little vehicles or something that they've managed to like hook up, but they're very unhealthy because they can't bond properly with the like human bloodstream, and so they're just like. They found substitutes.
Yeah.
Essentially sock vegans.
Yes, very much so. That's fucked up. 3, 2, 1, click.
I don't know. That might be the most interesting world we've come up with for a while. I kind of want to. If I was a character designer, I'd be 3D modeling that and putting it in a game.
Well, you know what? 3, 2, 1, click. And I thought we were very brave to come up with a world like that.
Well, it's a shame we were only visiting. Ooh. And now we need to move on to a new game.
Brave and visiting. That was fun doing it that way. Why we haven't done that before, I don't know.
Because half the time our words don't just fit into sentences that well.
So you're a sock puppet visiting your grandparents.
Which is very brave of you because you're a vegan sock puppet and you're coming in on your little scooter machine.
Okay.
Is this Disney's Brave?
Why? I'm sort of seeing this. You're a young kid visiting your parent in a scary place, which is either like a jail or something like that. And it's sort of like, what could actually happen in a child's mind of how like scary a place like this could actually be.
Maybe if we can think of something I just don't want to go like super dark with it, and I'm trying to think of a reason that a parent would be, or a child would be visiting, maybe just in hospital or something.
Okay. Yeah. Hospital.
Or like in a hospice, or like they're long-term, they've been in hospital for a while or something. Because I didn't want to put something on the parent for them having, like if it was prison or rehab or whatever, then we have to go with the parent has done something to be there.
Yes, I get that.
Okay, so sort of creating a scary imaginary world around this place.
Literally every single person is because you're so small. The scale of this world is they're towering above you. People in white coats and their face.
You do it in VR, so you get that scale.
Oh yeah, their faces could almost be obscured by masks and all this sort of stuff because we just went through a pandemic.
They're all wearing like masks, or you just can't see their they're always turned away from you or something.
And you
That'd be an interesting animation challenge actually to if you're looking at like wherever they are going past you, or if you turn around, like they never you never actually can see their faces quite. That's cool.
It is, and there's just something about a hospital can be such a sterile environment that it's
Oh, yeah. And the sounds and stuff, like, you're hearing the beeping of machines in different rooms. You're hearing sort of the vague moans of people in pain.
You're hearing codes all the time, like people, doctors being called to offices and all this sort of stuff. And just, I'm seeing you get pulled into this hospital and you see, a really, really tall man who's, sort of throwing up or something like that after the site because he's really not well. You're just going through the emergency room, or you can have all these creepy people that are like, no, you're here visiting.
Think about it, they've got their own lives happening and they're sick and they're whatever. But to a child,
like, it's scary as anything. Like, and people's faces could be distorted. And
I'm almost seeing this as just sort of a very, narrative-based, almost walking simulator sort of thing where, you go through this scary place and you have to, like, find your way there.
You can get lost at a certain point.
Like when you get to the room that your parent is in, like all of a sudden it feels warm and inviting to it, to at least that time. Because they're in bed, they're smiling, they're having a good day. You get to, like, talk to them and be close to them.
The doctor asks you to leave the room and, at one point you hear a noise and you have to go back in. And that's where it's no longer got that warm light, but it's like you sort of see.
Yeah, I think something happens that shifts that, whether it's like you come back on a different day or you notice as you come back subsequent days, like that it's getting like less and less warm and saturated and more like the rest of the hospital sort of thing.
Kind of morbid and all that sort of stuff. I kind of like the idea of taking this to a real horror place of, body horror sort of stuff, because what could be running through a kid's mind is, Well,
I like the idea of them overhearing things that are actual things that doctors might say, but then just getting them twisted, of what that actually means. And then like seeing in quotes, but like, that we express that through the game.
And you could do certain parts as dream sequences. You could do certain parts as,
Well, yeah, I almost feel like this whole thing is very dreamlike.
Yeah.
And metaphorical.
It's real soft on the outside edges. Like when you're looking up,
as long as that
you could almost
mess with VR, but
you could almost have like fog up above. Like you're not quite seeing the people who are standing above you's faces because it's too far out.
Yeah, I do like that feeling of just they're these giants walking through this space, all the adults in this area that are like unknowable beings that you're just overhearing snippets of their conversation and certain words that scare you and give you these ideas.
Again, if you chose a non-gender specific name, like a Riley or something like that, like it would be very easy to have you in that have any person in the body of a 4-year-old or something like that.
Oh yeah, for sure. You could make it accessible to everyone.
There's something about scale that I just love. Like if you're a quite tall individual like you and I are, like you're a good 3-4 inches taller than I am, or 3.5, I'd say.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you're a tall individual and then all of a sudden you're,
Oh, yeah. Scale, particularly in VR, is very interesting. It's really the only place you can effectively get that kind of, that sort of perspective, literally.
Yeah. And having to look up and you're almost looking vertically up to see, these heads out of reach. Like if you're,
and I think you'd stylize it a bit as well. I think this would be something you'd play with in the art direction, but you'd have the humans kind of be probably even taller proportionally, the adults being even taller proportionally than they actually are in real life. So that just, it even heightens that idea of just these tall figures going past that you're not in their world.
Yeah.
And I do like that idea of kind of like even the fog, the haze, or the distance of how.
Which
far
is going back to something I read ages ago that actually says that young kids they can see to a certain extent, and then they their eyes don't adjust the way that they do later on in life.
Well, and then you could have some interesting moments then as well when a doctor or something does like kneel down and come down to your level, and it just feels like
this huge mask on their face,
huge face that you can't see the mouth, you can't see whether they're smiling.
Oh,
or not.
I'm picturing that they pull down the mask and it's this huge smiling face, and it's like then you get woken up, like it's like that was your dream, and you're continuously not knowing whether it's dream or reality what you're experiencing, and it's that sort of.
Yeah, that's cool.
That is really...
All right.
Really...
Should we do one more quick one so we don't end on that morbid note?
Come on. Morbid notes are good. Okay, one more.
This will be real quick. Chemist.
Understanding.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm definitely thinking just some sort of like mixing potions, mixing vials together.
Mm-hmm.
Different ingredients. So like some sort of puzzle situation.
Yeah, so I remember a Sierra game, Freddy Farkas Frontier Pharmacist, that...
It's Owlo's other series.
Yes. Well, other game. Like, there wasn't a series.
There was a sequel, wasn't it?
No, there wasn't.
I thought there were two.
No, just the one.
Okay. Anyway.
But yeah, the idea of taking a chemist to a different...
time or something.
Different time period or different genre, like... Could be quite nice. What would a romance story or a gothic tale with a chemist? That could be kind of fun.
Ooh, I like the sort of gothic
with leeches and all this sort of stuff. Like,
yeah, I'm not great on like gothic media, but I definitely like. I mean, this isn't quite the right tone, but like obviously Addams Family is like a classic kind of gothic
American
style,
gothic, yeah.
Yeah.
I could just imagine a comedy sort of set in this pharmacist thing where you're giving out like prescriptions that nowadays you wouldn't, like, it's like, oh, take this leech and put it under your tongue. Like, that'll suck out the...
It's like people coming in, you're just telling them to like drain the blood to let the vapors out or whatever.
Yeah. Like the 4 humours or whatever it is.
The humours. Balance your humours.
Yeah.
But then in a game, I think you'd have to give it some realistic kind of balance then, which could be interesting. So like, leeches in certain places do actually like lower their bile level or whatever it's supposed to do.
Yeah. But so there's sort of it's that sort of thing of you can take it as if, you know, your character is just doing what they've been taught, and you know, trying to make sure that the town is all, you know, as healthy as they can be. And having like a mystery illness go through the town, like.
Ooh, okay. Well, and then I like the idea of having romance in there as well, like that you've got someone or multiple someones who are coming in for treatment, and then
a few of the people that you've treated have died of severe blood loss.
Okay.
Just because they had 2 little pricks on their neck. But I just like the idea that everyone's coming back to, you've been putting leeches out there. Have you been given the wrong dosage and all this sort of stuff? And they're pointing at you and not the new family that moved in, that, you know, they don't go out at night. They only go out at night. And
then the new family comes in and is like, whenever I eat garlic, it gives me a real tummy ache, and my teeth have been really hurting lately, especially these incisors of mine.
I keep on biting my cheek. Tastes good though. I know.
Are my iron levels too high?
There's just something about like taking that sort of thing and taking, I don't know, leeches, which is, you know, bloodletting,
honestly,
and all that sort of stuff.
It feels like a visual novel sort of style dating romance game with. But with sort of the overarching mechanics of prescribing these different things.
Yeah. I think the girl that you're sort of falling in love with is actually, you know, like the niece of the new family that's moved in, and she's like,
isn't she?
But I think you see her during the day, so she's like their what's it called?
She's their day walker. She's their proxy out in the world.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, I'm trying to think of what what they call it in What We Do in the Shadows. Like,
oh, familiar.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, basically she's their familiar, and, you know, she's out there trying to do the best for them, and
Yeah. Yeah.
wants to become a vampire one day. That's the cool thing, is you don't even have to name it, because people will just,
oh, of course.
It'll be in their brain.
One of the easiest
sort of
things in the world to, like, allude to.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's it. That was a fun one to end on.
That's it. So I think we'll leave it there. If you would like to find our previous episodes online, go to podchaser.com/bitstorm. Shoot us a review. Let us know what you thought.
Also, if you like the song that we play at the start and end of each of our episodes, except for the first couple, that song is called Mad Defiance off the album Containment Failure by the band Crew Dust. You can find it online.
That's right. So thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott.
And I'm Socky. Ben is just my vehicle. Do you like how I'm putting the sock up to the microphone as if that is what's important?
But that's where the audio is coming from.